Hello, friends!
Hello!
And welcome to Discoverage 15. The end of the season. And will it disappoint or will it impress? Well, we're about to find out. But first of all, we've got a bit of...
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
The Pie Man has this to say about the war without, the war within.
Hello, Orgs. Parry here to talk about Discovery Episode 14. Second last episode, and as always, I have listened to quite a lot about it, be recording this near the end of the week. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm not quite sure that I thought it was that crazy at the end, but yeah, I think I could have done without a rug pull of any description. Now, I had a thought at the beginning of the series that this series is going to end with Burnham having to mutiny again. I actually thought it was going to be mutiny against Lorca, and this time she was going to have the whole crew behind her. I think this time it's going to be mutiny against Mirror Giorgio. But that's just my thought. Because, yeah, I think most of us will be very unsurprised if her job isn't going to be to go out there and blow up Kronos. That's what I think is going to happen, and I think we are going to have a "We Are the Federation, we do not do that" kind of thing going on. That said, the episode was good. A bit of a brief dial down in the pace, although still a lot happening. I did enjoy the scenes between Michael and Clem Fandango. Ash Kashim. I thought Saru had some decent scenes, and I quite liked the interplay between Admiral Greggs coming in. I think possibly we do have a hint that Admiral Greggs might not be in the best mental state at the moment, having Starbase 1 taken over, knowing that Lorca was Mirror Universe, and that's why I think she might have gone along with the idea to destroy Kronos. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think most of what's been said has been said about this episode. Part of it is, could you love Tilly more? I mean, I thought the scene with Ash and Tilly was actually quite sweet, where she went in to speak to him and he's kind of, oh, well, you don't have to. And indeed, I think Tilly could be the one reminding us all of what our humanity actually is, which I think is going to be an important message in this. I think that will be kind of, but I reckon there will be some sort of mirroring to the beginning of the episode, because if you at the beginning of the series, because the beginning of the series had Michael saying, shoot first, decisively thwack them, and they'll go away. And I think at the end it will be no, we can't destroy the homeworld. That's not right. So I think that's where we're going to go, and it will basically be her mutinying again, but this time being exonerated and possibly even returned to duty. I suspect that. I'll talk more probably about the last episode once it's aired, and indeed about the series as a whole and where we think it's going. I'm looking forward to your thoughts on it, definitely. So all that remains for me to say is do keep up the good work, and I look forward to the next episode. Until then, bye for now.
Bye for now. So it's brilliant, isn't it, listening to his predictions just before, well, just after we've found out how it all turns out. And you weren't far wrong. You weren't far wrong. It was a rather bigger mutiny than just Burnham, it has to be said, the entire crew joining in, which is good. But an interesting point about Admiral Greggs not being at her best. Yeah. But it transpired that it's not just her that made this really dodgy decision. Sarek, bizarrely, was part of it as well. It's just insane, but never mind. Yes, thank you for that. So there we go. So let's get stuck into tonight's episode, shall we?
Yeah.
The only way to defeat fear is to tell it no. No, we will not allow desperation to destroy the path to righteousness. No, we will not break the rules that protect us from our basest instincts.
The Klingons are on the verge of wiping out the Federation. We do not have the luxury of principle.
That is all we have.
Okay, so a slightly confusing opening, which second time round makes a lot more sense. I've managed to watch this twice now. And basically zoom in on planet Earth, and yes, the ships are some distance away, when they destroyed that space. That wasn't Earth we were looking at. Andy made that point that they say it's 100 AUs away.
But it did look like it.
It did look, it was a very bad choice of effects, that was. But here it's clear it isn't, because we have this big zoom in from the Klingon fleet to Earth going through the solar system as they do it. And then it sort of dissolves into being Kronos. So Earth suddenly goes green. And initially it's like, what the hell? What? Why has Earth gone green? But yes, we've jumped. It's a satellite goes past and it's wiped to Kronos.
What was the point of that, though?
Beyond confusing us, I have no idea. I think they were trying to be clever, and it's not worked, really, has it?
No, I just went, what? Whizzing around the galaxy because reasons.
Well, not just whizzing around the galaxy, but jumping from one planet to another, but there we are. We have Giorgio being unpleasant on the bridge, which is unsurprising, but it must admit rather frustrating to watch, because again, it's like, why is anybody taking her orders?
Yeah, and surely the other people have guessed by now.
You think, yes.
Because she was, like, really nice.
Yeah, and now she's really horrible. Although some of them, of course, didn't meet the original her, so...
Yeah.
There's more references to eating kelpians, and Michael almost manages to expose her by talking about where she comes from. And then we have a walk through corridors filmed through a fisheye lens for some reason. I don't quite know why they did that. And Giorgio says Michael should have killed her prime counterpart back at the start of the war. And we get, are you with me or against me? To which the answer is, well, against you, to be honest, because you're a piece of work. Why would... anyway. Yeah. Then they go and visit the White Queen, who makes reference to Kovma eating the prime Giorgio. This is really not a show for vegetarians, is it? It has to be said. Then Giorgio beats up the White Queen. Lovely. Michael really should report to Starfleet at this point.
Yeah.
This is said to be so insane. Next they go and see Clem Fandango, who, and I did point out it was obvious from last week's line that his having knowledge from Vok would prove useful, and here we go. He points out which cave to enter through, and we get mention of Molor, which is nice. Yeah, Fort Kalis. Giorgio is also taking Tilly with her, and reveals her true nature to her. Apparently Tilly helped her subjugate Beta Z. And Mentaka 3, which I'm sure was in Next Generation as well.
Isn't that the Mentakans?
Those were those Vulcan-like guys, weren't they? Who watches the Watchers, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Blimey. That must have been a really difficult battle for her.
Yeah. But she hates Tilly's lovely hair.
Oh, terrible. It amuses me how they put these references in for old fans, but get basic stuff like Klingon designs wrong. But there we go. Tilly is as adorable as ever, though.
Yeah.
They disguise themselves, I thought initially as Orions, but no, she says that they're low lives, yes. Which would include Orions, but yes. It's a nice look, it has to be said, particularly for Tilly, as ever.
Yeah, I love that she says, Giorgio says, Gabriel must have found some interesting things because they're looking for stuff to trade. And I was like, well, yeah, who's going down with a tribble? Who's trading tribbles? But he did have but now we understand more, don't we, about him being he was Mirror Universe weird shit guy. That's why he had that fucked up rumour wrong, wasn't it?
Yep. Not that anything much ever came with the fucked up rumour wrong.
Well, it's not there anymore. They've looted it to go down to Orion with, haven't they?
Yeah, but it was mostly full of beasties and things, wasn't it? But anyway, the ship jumps below Kronos, hovering about like a bloody helicopter. Oh, for heaven's sake. And rather than just get out, because, they're in the planet now, they beam out. Which is ridiculous, because the whole point of transporters is to beam you in from orbit, because your ship can't land, But never mind.
Well, it doesn't land, though, does it? It sort of stays there wibbling, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, hovers underneath the planet, like spaceships don't. Anyway, we get a pan in over the planet, which is nice. And in answer to our question last week, Kronos looks much like it did in Next Generation.
Yeah.
A bit greener. I'm sure it was redder in Next Generation. But yeah, no, that's nice. And it was better than that still map, which was all we ever got to see. We also see a Klingon having a wee up a wall.
Yeah.
Wow, to be alive in times such as these. It would appear they either have multiple willies.
Well, it was double streamed, wasn't it?
Yeah, or they're like watering cans.
Well, maybe they're like sharks and they have diaphalic terrata.
Maybe they are. I'm sure there was some comment about their anatomy before not fitting with humans, but anyway. Someone is cooking Ceti Alpha eels from Star Trek 2. That was a fantastic little fan... Seriously, this story is just so full of fan references. It's unbelievable. It's a great augmented set they use here, and again, production values of the show are miles ahead of previous TV series, so you can't fault them on that. In a private moment, Tilly says it can't be easy for Michael, and she's got her back over Giorgio, which again is very sweet.
Yeah, I really like that.
And they go to an erotic dance club of some sort.
Yeah, at least it
Stroke
hasn't...
brothel.
Yeah, at least it hasn't
Stroke
got
gambling den.
Tina Turner going, I'm your private dancer.
It may as well have that. Oh dear. To get information about the shrine above the entrance to the cave. Meanwhile, Michael finds out more about Vok from Clem. Who then does a bit of gambling and amuses the Klingons by speaking their language, like a dog on water skis, he says.
I like that.
That's a great phrase, isn't it? And for the first time, I don't think we've ever done it in our disco coverage, we get to play... Because it's none other than bloody Clint Howard.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Balok. A.k.a. star of Gentle Bean, and also much later putting in appearances in Deep Space Nine in past tense too, and he was a Ferengi in Enterprise as well. Here is an Orion that gets Tilly high.
Well, maybe it's Tranya, but you know you.
Yeah, Tranya in inhalable form this time rather than a drink. Yeah, that's what he was trying to do before. You see, he's kind of like the Stan Lee of the Star Trek universe. He just keeps turning up in different forms. Michael tells Clem about her parents, and it all goes a bit Batman as she reveals that she got them to stay where they were attacked. So rather like Bruce Wayne got them to leave the theatre early. It's like, oh no, really? But it's very well acted, so it's kind of forgivable. But yet she feels compassion for the people of Kronos, and we get a sort of pan around of the different characters, including a Trill getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
Hey! Which I suppose could be one of Dax's previous hosts.
Yeah, it could be Emily.
Could be. That would be bloody amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
As I say, all these Easter eggs. They see some Klingons having flaming cocktails, which apparently is a sign they're followers of Molor. Either that or they're out on a stag night. And therefore they'll know where the shrine is. Giorgio's been having sexy times with 2 Orions, but then she turns on them to get the location of the shrine thing. Yeah. Tilly wakes up and discovers from Clint Howard that the volcanoes are still active. Volcanoes alive! She also discovers that she hasn't got a drone in her case after all, but a bomb!
Special delivery, a burn. Were you expecting one? A burn?
And then Georgia turns up and knocks her out when she's contacted Michael.
Yeah, but at least she gets the information to Michael.
Yeah. Burnham hails Saru to get them to beam Georgia out all the bomb, but they're too late in both cases. And in a cunning shot, they show Kronos blowing up, but it's just a simulation. Cheated ya. Michael berates Admiral Greggs for genocide. All we have are our principles, she says. Quite right. And she reflects on how she's journeyed from the place that Cornwall is currently at, which is nice. Do we need another mutiny to prove who we are? And the whole crew are behind her this time.
I love that they all stand with her. And Robot Lady, whose name I don't know.
Yes, I've got her name somewhere because I did myself a little inventory in case they came up, and she's Ariam.
Right, because she makes noises as she stands up.
She does, every time she moves.
Yeah.
She goes, it's a lovely... But yeah,
cool.
We like her. More of her in season 2, please. Michael confronts Giorgio, who's done this before. I'm nothing like your Giorgio, she says. Oh, no smeg, Sherlock. Michael challenges her to shoot her, basically.
Yeah, you have to watch me die.
She backs down,
yeah. But I love the way she gets the thing and puts it right in her chest. Clem
brings the White Queen along, and Michael tells her to use the threat to detonate the bomb to unite her people. And Clem speaks to her as Vok to persuade her that this is a good idea. They let Giorgio go, which is no doubt a big mistake, but obviously fun for the future of the series.
Yeah.
She's going to crop up again. Clem says that he's going with the White Queen to try and bring Klingons and humans closer together, and I suppose obviously he's uniquely gifted in that area. He says that Michael's capacity for love saved his life, and they kiss.
Well, she says, I see you, Ash, in your eyes.
Yeah.
Compared to before she said it was Vok. And then she says, only you can make me. She says, I see you, only you.
Only you can make all this world seem right.
Blimey, Charlie.
Yeah, there's me going, we should go more modern. I think I
failed on that
I
one,
failed a
didn't
bit, didn't I? Really? Cocked that one up her dad.
And he tells her to get knotted. No, he gives her a knot, because that's a thing in this story. He likes his boating. The White Queen addresses the various houses who appear to be in the Ewok village from Return of the Jedi. Yub. Seriously, they got that knockoff graphic from Lucasfilm or something. And she announces herself as leader, and the fleet leaves Earth. We see a cool view as we zoom in on Earth and then zoom in on Paris, which historically has always been the headquarters of the Federation, so that's nice. And we get a lovely scene with Amanda and Michael, and Sarek turns up and admits his guilt. Blimey, Charlie. And she's now been pardoned and is commander once more. So yes, well done, Perry.
Yep.
Although that was probably always on the cards, wasn't it?
Probably, but I still like that it's Sarek who gives her the thing.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. She makes a final speech to Starfleet, which is a bit clunkier, but never mind, we'll kind of excuse that. And all her crew members have got medals and stuff.
And
so
Tilly's gone into the command training programme.
Yeah, huzzah,
Yay!
huzzah. So everybody's happy. And even Dr. Dishy gets a posthumous medal as well. Aww. Starfleet have ruled out using the spore drive until they can find a non-human interface. And presumably they never will, because it's not going to crop up in future. And off they set for Vulcan. And it all may have felt slightly a bit of a damp squib ending. It's like, really? Is that it? They just sort of talk themselves out of it. But very Star Trek, of course. I mean, that's usually the way things go in Trek. They don't normally have a big battle at the end. But in the final epic bit of fan-pleasing, we're going to last through the window shot into the bridge. They pick up a distress call. And the registry starts coming up, NCC 17 is like, okay. Captained by one Christopher Pike, we have the Enterprise in all her glory. And it's a lovely job. They've barely altered it, basically.
They put more windows on,
more windows, more detail, more lights. But
the shape is the
shape's
same.
Exactly the same, including the satellite dish on the front, which I always found a bit odd. But but it looks fantastic. And they make the mistake of putting it by the Discovery, just exposing what an ugly lump the Discovery is.
Bad ship, good ship, bad ship.
Here's what you could have won. Yeah. So they'll jump ships next time and start using. Well, they're not going to start using the Enterprise, are they?
No.
Boo. But anyway, it's a lovely end to the season.
It is. It's lovely.
Complete with the original series music, of course.
Yay!
Yes.
It's like, yay!
So there we go. There's mixed feelings to say, because it does feel a bit of a cop-out that it's just talked down, but again, it's Star Trek.
It's very next-gen, actually, more than anything else.
Yes, indeed. True to it all. Yes. Okay, well, let's find out what other people thought.
And we've heard from Wayne, who writes, how good was that? It didn't start off well. I just couldn't understand the reasoning behind making Georgiou a captain. I eventually convinced myself that Starfleet were absolutely desperate, and she held the key to saving the Federation and ending the war, and so in the grand scheme of things it felt like a small price to pay and was probably paid through gritted teeth. I'm still not comfortable with it, though. Still, now she's running about out there to pop up in Season 2 to cause problems.
Yes.
Tilly continues to be adorable, and her Terran salute provoked a proper laugh out loud. The resolution to the war was a bit of a chin-scratcher. A bomb with a bio-encoded detonator. Is that it? So the other Klingon leaders just shoot her and carry on?
Possibly.
Or if it's a case of our detonate...
I know, but it's coded to her, isn't it?
Yeah.
So she's got complete control over it.
Yeah. Or if it's a case of, it'll detonate if she dies, what if she suddenly has a heart attack? What if the battery in the detonator runs out? These are all the questions I had with the detonators and stuff in Dread.
Uh-huh.
Just the exact same questions when it's supposed to work like that. Or the other leaders could just find the bomb, get rid of it. All seems a bit spurious. Oh well, at least they wrapped it up and ended the war. I was grateful for that. I was still expecting Ash to stab Burnham when they were saying goodbye, but that didn't happen, thankfully. Choosing to go with the Klingons was unexpected and an interesting turn of events. Everyone's got medals, and I properly welled up when I saw Stamets holding Culpers. Is that his name, Dr. Dishy?
Culbers, yeah.
Not Cubert. Cubert, yeah. Burnham is a commander again, and Saru is acting captain, so I assume there'll be a new captain for Season 2. To be honest, I'd be happy with Saru being captain.
I presume it's a Vulcan, because that's where they're going.
Yeah.
But,
I was expecting Vulcan to be wiped out when they got the Priority 1 distress signal at the end, and then I remembered that happens later in the JJ timeline. And then there was the Enterprise, and I was giggling like a buffoon. It looked fantastic. There was no way it was ever going to look like it did in the cage. It had to have a Discovery makeover, and from what little I saw, it looks like they did a terrific job. Far more respectful than the awkward-looking JJ redesign.
Yes.
Looking forward to getting my mitts on a model of that. Also, will we get Bruce Greenwood as Pike, or will they recast him? Zach Quinto as Spock? Or another recast? Or will he simply not be in it? What will their uniforms look like?
Yeah, we did have a bit of a discussion on that front as to whether Spock was turning, because obviously he did serve with Pike, but this might be set before then, I don't know. And yeah, that would be very obscure if they dragged the Pike actor out of the 09 films, wouldn't it? But well, we shall see.
He says, I loved the previously on in Klingon at the start, and the Alexander Courage theme at the end.
Yeah.
Also, there were a couple of Easter eggs in this one. Fried city eels! Mention of bread and circuses. Oh, yes.
Yes.
And when Burnham is telling Tyler about her parents, there's a row of orange lights in the background, shaped like the back end of a Type F shuttle. Although I may be reaching with that.
Possibly, I'm not sure.
Also, was that Clint Baylock Howard? Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, a terrific episode and a terrific end to what's turned out to be a very different but very bold and I think ultimately successful new incarnation of Star Trek. I'm really looking forward to season 2, and it looks like it will have more of a classic Trek exploration vibe to it, with Klingons behind the neutral zone, though with arcs and twists aplenty, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Yes, I mean they've already said as much as we reported last week that they'll keep the arcs, but they're looking at more exploration and alien worlds, which is kind of what Star Trek ought to be about rather than Game of Thrones. So good,
cool, thank you.
Eagles are, and we've also heard from Mr. Lee Metcalf from the Black Dog podcast, which we have mentioned various times.
Yep.
He sent quite a long MP3, which I've split into two. Because there's one bit of it that's talking about tonight's episode, and there's one bit of it looking at the series in general, which is what we're going to be doing next week. Oh, yes, well, that's one more week of Discovery, although we're going to be recording Saturday, just to let you know. But anyway, let's hear what Lee has to say about episode 15.
Hello guys, it's Lee. Sorry for the lack of feedback and all that sort of stuff, but you know what? I thought I'd give one back for the end of Discovery, seeing as we have a season finale and all that. What did I think about the latest episode and the finale? Just as Discovery is trying to strike its own path, trying to become a new thing, trying to get off on its own path and break away from Trek, but hold to the tenets of Trek in some respects and do its own thing, suddenly what we've got is, hey, guess what? We're going to solve this all by having a little chat. And it's like, right, we're going back to that then. You know, Georgiou's going to do something evil. She's going to blow up a planet. She's going to cause mass genocides. You know, the Admiralty are all down for it because their hands are clean. And it's just like, right. And then Burnham, essentially the whole episode is just fart-arsing about on Kronos until finally it just comes down to, we've discovered her plan. We don't agree with it. Burnham turns up and goes, don't do that. And then Georgiou basically goes, okay, and the thing ends. And the result is, you know, we've put someone we want in power in the Klingon Empire who's going to unify them all together. And it's like, right, okay. And, you know, Klingons being naturally a decent race who will follow everyone without question. I mean, we've just had 13, 14 episodes of them telling you how one leader has died and 24 houses have all gone off in their own directions, just having a bit of a sort of a Benidorm stag party in every direction across the galaxy. And then all of a sudden they're all just suddenly going to listen to someone because one person says, I've got a bomb and I will blow it up if you don't listen to me. It's like, really? Have we not seen Klingons just going, no, we still want battle. We could be victorious. We are that close. And all that sort of thing. And it's like, well, okay. You either have those Klingons or you have this newfangled Klingons which can understand the diplomacy and all that kind of thing. In which case, show us that a bit earlier on. Not just the one charismatic leader in the first episode who bites the bullet. So, yeah, it kind of felt like it was a real end to a massively shrill arc that kind of was getting more and more intense, and then suddenly everyone just stands around and just goes, don't do that, okay, the end. And it's just, no. it's almost up there with sort of like your John Sheridan, 4 years worth of galactic war to get to, now get the hell out of my galaxy, and two alien races just go, oh, okay, he shouted at us, we don't like that, bye-bye, we're leaving now, Dad's told us off. And so, yeah, by the end of it, I appreciated Discovery and what it did, and I appreciated how it tried, and I appreciated it more binge-watching it than I did watching it in episodic form, which may say a lot about the writing. Yeah, that finale was just a... And then finally, to pull out the big ta-da at the end, with something I'm not going to mention in case you skip around it for spoilers. But the ta-da at the end, I literally just thought, well, you've you've done the narrative equivalent of actually throwing your hands up in the air and going, actually, you know what? Fans are right. I give up. We give them what they want. Ta-da! There you go. Here you go, fans. And I can see one of two things happening here. One, they spend the next season just literally backpedaling everything to get it back to where it was. Or two, they say, alternate timeline, ta-da, we'll do another thing. And then they try and squeeze more and more stories into a smaller space until someone turns up, let's put it that way.
So yes, ends a bit suddenly because you get part 2 in a week's time. Yes, check Route 1 for the solution is definitely true.
Yeah.
And that I would have found that massively disappointing if it wasn't for that nice little cherry at the end. And Klingon stag parties are indeed the worst, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the idea that she can go on to... Like, the idea that the Federation think she can go on to unite the houses, I'm not disappointed with that.
Yeah.
Because that fits with the Federation, but I'm not convinced that the end fits with the Klingons.
No, and who knows? She probably won't. I mean, she'll.
No.
You know, somebody will find a way of destroying the bomb, and she'll get assassinated or something. I mean, there's a million and one ways that can go. So, but as far as the Federation are concerned, they're not got the Klingons breathing down their necks anymore. So
yeah,
they're off the hook for a while. Cool.
Thank you.
But as ever, Llama God doesn't need any time to give us feedback. The man has got his fingers on the pulse. Here we go.
Llama God's log, Scott Day, Jake, Yig. We finally come to the conclusion of Season 1 of Discovery, as we touchingly tell everyone we care about to get knotted, which is nice. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead to the end straight away, and before I talk about anything else, and that, of course, is Tilly. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Actually, if you've been paying attention, you probably didn't. Yep, we get to see a lot of Tilly in this episode, and she's great. And I'm not just talking about the fact that she's given a rather sexy outfit to wear when they go down to the surface of Kronos, but also just a couple of nice little touches we've seen from her. I mean, yes, she gets into the command training scheme, so hurrah! But also, as the crew are preparing to go down to the surface of Kronos, just the way that she inserts herself between Ash and Michael to protect Michael. I mean, Tilly is the best, and we need to see more of her, and I hope she's still assigned to the Discovery next season, whoever the mysterious new captain's going to be. Why isn't it going to be Saru? Okay, I'm really jumping here to the end now. Yeah, okay, having been down on it last episode, this was a pretty good conclusion, really, I thought. Unsurprisingly, the Federation had a sinister plan involving Kronos, and that's exactly why they sent Empress Georgiou along, and that's basically to no one's surprise at all. So it's a bomb, they're going to blow up a volcano. Okay, there's obviously something about new treks and being inside volcanoes, so that's a thing. And at the end of the day, it's left down to Michael to remind Starfleet who they are and what they are. And again, that was really nice. There was the hint of a mutiny that we'd all come to expect from pretty early on in the series, really, and it didn't need to happen as a mutiny. All of Michael's crewmates stood with her. They're all Starfleet, and that was just, again, a really lovely moment to see when they remembered what Starfleet's ideals were. And the eventual solution, leaving the fate of the Klingons in their own hands, I mean, again, that was an interesting one. On the one hand, you could say that this is very much like Starfleet, because, of course, it's not about subjugating the enemy, it's about giving them their own choices. But on the other hand, they did that by giving them Doomsday Device, a weapon of mass destruction that one Klingon could use to threaten the entire race. So it's not particularly Starfleet, but I guess it's the most Starfleet you could be in a non-Starfleet-y situation. So I guess that's good. And if this is indeed how the Klingons finally become unified, I guess that dovetails nicely into what we see of the Klingon race in later years. It could also possibly explain why women are not allowed to serve on the High Council in the Next Generation era and beyond, and that's because everyone was too shit scared of Lavelle, because she is pretty scary. So maybe that's what happens somewhere in between Star Trek 6 and the Next Generation. There's a Klingon men's rights activist uprising to get rid of all the Klingon social justice warriors or something, I don't know. But at least for the moment, it's good. We've got Lavelle, and she is going to start a unification of the Klingon race once again. And they're going to start by turning all the spaceships into little green birds, because she liked little green birds, or something. Maybe that's what happens there? I don't know. As to Kronos, I was really pleased with what they did with that. I'd forgotten you guys hadn't seen Into Darkness. Yeah, less than impressed with how it's depicted in that film, basically being super aliened up. This was in line with what we've come to expect from other Star Trek shows, but also just different enough. I mean, I know it was a different quarter of the planet, and again, that was good to see a different part of the planet, so I like that as well. And suitably Mos Eisley-esque, I like the planet-based scenes. And it was also good that the Discovery's plan of flying inside the planet, it was actually dangerous. I mean, it was a bit ridiculous, but still not as bad as flying underwater, because that's just stupid. And at the very least, they did mention that it was suffering with gravity and pressure, so, you know, good. They've actually realised that flying a spaceship inside a planet is going to be a daft thing to do. I think this was all tied up very nicely, and we've got Georgiou is off, and we may see her again in the future, and likewise Ensign Tyler, after touchingly telling Michael to get knotted. At least I'm assuming that's what the sentiment was. I don't know. We might see him again, or maybe he's just busy shagging the 1960s Klingons into existence. I don't know. I still think that's a good explanation for why they've got smooth foreheads. And everything's tied up quite nicely. In a rather surprising move, actually. I was kind of expecting this season to end on a cliffhanger, but given that the series has been all about the cliffhangers going forward, yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, but instead everything's nicely tied up. Michael's been pardoned, which, not a surprise, but this is good. She's been pardoned and honoured, and the mushroom drive is just conveniently forgotten about until it's a bit safer. So yeah, I guess they forget about that for a long, long time then, so yeah, okay. But then there's always going to be some hand-waving as far as that was concerned. Though everything's nicely tied up, who the new captain's going to be? That's an interesting mystery, isn't it? But I guess we'll have to wait till season 2 to find out. And finally, they left us with the sweetener that we'd all been expecting, and I'm glad we didn't see too much. I mean, I'd have liked to have seen more of Bruce Greenwood's Captain Pike, because I thought he was great in the Abrams films, and I was disappointed they killed him off in the second film. Spoilers. Don't go and see it. You'll spoil it yourself, because it's a shit film. But yeah, it was just nice to get Enterprise. We've been teased with that since the start of the series, so it was just really nice to see it again. And I really like the at least the external design, because we didn't get to see the internals. I really like to see the external design of the Enterprise. She looked beautiful, and she really fit into the universe like that. I'd be interested to hear what you guys make of it, and I'm sure we'll do an entire podcast on it, but I haven't really got the time to do that tonight. I guess the only thing I will say is that nice as it looked, and I know it's not quite in fitting with the universe as it stands at the moment, but I would have liked it if they'd kept her more sort of the pearlescent white that she has in the motion picture, and like I guess you can kind of assume in the 60s show, that kind of lighter colour as opposed to the dark militaristic grey, but we can guess that she got a repaint at some point in the near future, so yes, the Enterprise, lovely. Alright then, well that was Discovery. I'm going plenty over time now, I think. See how this turns out when I edit it. And I will probably return to your final podcast to give you my thoughts on Discovery as a whole, although I think you can probably guess what they are anyway. So I'll be looking forward to see what everyone else makes of this. Until next season, or until the next pair of episodes of Deep Space Nine.
Always for you and your cast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. The idea that there's no women on the High Council because everyone's now shit scared.
Yeah, the last time we had one, they had a bloody bomb.
So there's been a men rights activist uprising.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And you know, there's Clem Fandango shagging the 1960s Klingons into existence.
We like that explanation. Yes, that's brilliant. That is. And the idea that the mushroom drive gets sort of parked in a warehouse somewhere, a la, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And compare and contrast Lama's reaction to Lee's is quite amusing, isn't it? It's like, yes, this is Star Trek. And Lee's like, oh, yeah, this is Star Trek, isn't it? But yeah, you can't please everybody.
No.
Personally, I'm kind of happy with the way they resolved it, I think, ultimately. But we will take a second pass.
We will.
So, yes, we shall be doing a retrospective in the entire season, recording Saturday. And if you've got any thoughts for that, if you've got any thoughts on episode 15, feel free to send them in. And likewise, any thoughts on season as a whole, if you just keep them to 5 minutes long, that would be excellent. Thank you, because we don't have all night.
No.
Yes, we're hoping to squeeze in a rewatch of the entire series, possibly not the first 2 episodes, I think, because they're not really connected with the rest of it so much.
Well, they're the bolt-ons that Puri was talking about a few episodes ago.
Effectively, so...
No, they were the extra episodes, that's what they did with them. But I think it was necessary to show, now that I've watched the whole thing through and I'll talk about it more, but I think it was necessary to show the right Georgiou and what Burnham was like before things happened. So I think we do need to watch them all.
Oh, right, okay, well, in which case we'll try and squeeze in all 15 episodes. Blimey, Charlie. We'll see if we manage that. There's by Saturday.
Well, you're on holiday, you're all right.
Theoretically, yes, but I would rather watch it with you. So, yes, we'll catch you on recording Saturday and get it up some point over the weekend, no doubt.
Yeah.
Cheerio, bye.
Bye.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at bOrgCast.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the bOrgCast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at bOrgCast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to bOrgCast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or bOrgCastAmmo. #bOrgCast.
You've not come across Insane in the Membrane?
Yes, I have, thank you very much.
You and your 80s tunes all the time. We need to have something modern occasionally.
That's not that modern.
More modern than the 80s.
Yeah, and doesn't make it better.
Shut it down!